Here we go.
Dum, 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 dum,
Space between, space between, space between, space between. Space between.
Yeah, what's up? This is the Space Between podcast, and it's your boy One Shower every 4 days. Okay?
Oh God, that's Pat Shand.
Yeah, I'm Pat Shand,
Now you say me.
and this is my beautiful green wife. Okay? I saw her. She put on this. If you can see the whole outfit, it's a camo sweatsuit. She's looking very much like she's in a 2000s R&B music video.
I'm pulling a straight up Jennifer Lopez
I love it.
in a music video right now.
I think you look
I was
good.
going to ask what the levels of hateration and holleration in the dance room were.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, you know what's so funny? Amy's dad, and I'll introduce you in 1 second, but Amy's dad loves Mary J. Blige. I feel like it is like a white boomer thing to just fucking love Mary J. Blige.
He loves Mary J. Blige, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so anyway.
She's safe. She's safe. It's fine.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, she's not canceled.
Here we go. This is Paul Braun. He is our guest. He's our second call-in guest. And we have a lot to talk about. But first, I do want to say where I met Paul. Paul was a student of mine, actually. You are the third student that I've had on this podcast. And
Oh, I'm honored.
yeah, I think that, this shows that you're in the very upper percentile because I had probably hundreds of students, and I was once called out by someone as I was taking attendance. This kid said, "You don't even know my name, do you?" And I guessed that I got it right, but the truth was I didn't.
You didn't know.
I didn't know. I didn't
That's
know.
awesome.
I didn't know.
Oh,
But
how are we going to on this before we move forward? Yay? No?
oh yeah,
Normal?
for sure, man. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank God.
Dude, I have come in here in a belly shirt with
Yo.
it's just
The other day, the lady I babysit for, I was on FaceTime with her because the little boy I babysit, it was his birthday, so I called them. And we are just chit-chatting, me and his mom, and she's asking about the podcast and, like, where she can find it and stuff. And in my head, I'm just like,
yeah.
so yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so I want you to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your work and what you do, and really how you see yourself, man.
Okay. So, as Pat said, my name is Paul Braun. I am a former student of his, so any issues with my form of writing or my problem with commas, it's probably his fault.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, to this day, hands down, best college professor I had.
For real? You really mean
For
that?
real. I mean, I consider us friends.
I mean,
also,
yeah,
like you're
I
the
think
best.
so.
You're the man. Like
Thanks,
you were just
dude.
like you were like one of the dudes, but like you gave me great guidance. Like yeah, it was a good time.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and I consider you a friend as well. We've had meals outside of class since
Yeah.
class has been done. I've been to your abode. Yeah.
Yeah, you were at the old place. We did a little thing about one of the many graphic novels that you've written at this point.
Yeah.
Which is so awesome.
Thank you, sir.
I also crashed Comic-Con one year as Spider-Man and hung out with you for a good 3 minutes before I revealed that it was me. That was
Oh
fun.
shit! Yeah. You make a great Spider-Man, man.
Totally.
Thank you. I'm far too lean to be literally any other hero. So that's right. So describe myself. All right. So obviously I went to film school. He was my teacher, my professor rather there. So
Yeah.
I do work in film in some capacity, mostly like special effects. I also host a podcast with one of his other students, Dave Strano.
Yeah.
It's a conversational podcast about movies called On the Rocks.
Nice.
I do a little review show on YouTube. It's horrible. Don't watch it. I spend most of the time insulting my audience. It's a great time. It's called Another Damn Review Show because there needs to be more white people talking about movies on the internet. There's not enough. Oh, also I'm a cop. I'm a police officer in Nassau County.
Yeah.
That's
Whoa,
a
I
thing
didn't
too.
know that.
That's probably mostly
Oh,
why
yeah.
I'm here to talk to you guys today.
Well,
So-
everything about you is really interesting, so we're definitely going to talk about all of that stuff.
Yeah, because here's the thing.
yeah.
I want to get into that a little bit and why we chose you, because I just put it out there. I'm going to bring you out of the closet right now, okay?
My wife doesn't know I'm gay.
Oh, fuck. Sorry. All right, we'll just edit that out.
We'll cut that out. It's fine.
You have or had the coronavirus.
Yes. Still, I mean, I guess it's kind of one of those things. I have it until I don't. Until I get a test that says I am clear.
Yeah.
I've been told to assume that not only do I have it, but that my pregnant wife and my 6-year-old daughter also have it.
Jesus
which has
Christ.
been fun. We're all okay. Before we get into any sympathies, everyone in my house is fine.
Yeah.
I'll get into what it was like, but at the worst, mild symptoms. At the worst.
Yeah.
Spent most of the time being asymptomatic, honestly.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so scary.
That's crazy. Yeah, because I'll say this. I think that at this point, most people that are listening not only knows someone who has it, but probably knows multiple people who have had it. My Facebook has just been full of people saying, I have it, I had it, I'm getting better. And we know celebrities who are having it now. Fucking Scarface, one of my favorite rappers, has the coronavirus. But Paul, you've always been eloquent, and you make a lot of great content. But most of all, you're funny.
So flattered.
Yeah, because my greatest fear, because we want to open this podcast up to more guests now that we're kind of locked down, and at least have one per week. And when I put out the invite to have people come in, the way that I got the idea was someone messaged me about having a nurse on the front line, and I was like, I want that. And we'll do that. But my fear about bringing all these guests in is that we mostly do comedy here. So I wanted someone funny, So if you were not funny and infected, you
Listen,
probably...
if you bring out the token sick guy, at least have him tell a dick joke or something.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, man, you said that the way that you transitioned into it and set me up to start talking about this was you being a cop, right?
Yes.
So is the way that you were that you contracted this on the front lines?
100%. So in my line of work, first I have to give you guys a little bit of context. So I work for the Nassau County Police Department, and we have something about us that kind of sets us apart from other police departments. It's pretty unique. I don't know any other department that does this. So the ambulances in Nassau County are owned and operated by the police department. The way it works is that every ambulance that is a Nassau County ambulance has one EMT in it. Just one. They drive it around all night. When they get a call, they respond to said call with 2 police officers. Now, the police officers always get there first. My job is to get there, start rendering aid in whatever capacity I can.
Okay.
Inform the ambulances to what is going on. Once they get there, since they are a higher medical authority, they take over. We put the person on a stretcher, get them in the ambulance, and now one of the officers drives the ambulance to the hospital while they are rendering aid in the back. So you can see why immediately that puts Nassau County in a very precarious situation.
Wow, you guys are
where
super
we are getting
intertwined.
exposed way more than anyone else.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so most of my job is taking people to the hospital. I feel like people they think cops and like, oh, enforcing the law. I'm like, nah, the protect part really comes first. It's going to auto accidents, taking reports, getting people to the hospital, dealing with domestic situations. And that's just what most of this job is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, there are certain protections that were allotted through our union. One of the things they fought for is we are really susceptible to bloodborne pathogens. So I actually had an incident where I had to take the AIDS cocktail once, which was a great time. I ended up getting into a scuffle with somebody at work. I cut open my knuckle and got some of his blood on it. So he was not really in the state to tell us oh, I'm clean. But I found out from one of the officers at scene that they know him from the job and that he is a known intravenous drug user.
Oh my god.
So we found out that he's been Narcaned 5 times in the last 6 months, and I'm like, cool. Well, I guess I'm getting tested for everything. To be safe, I started taking the cocktail. Story has a happy ending. He ended up being clean, so I didn't need to continue it because it just, oh god, it wreaks havoc on your system. It is not fun. Yeah. But one of the protections that we're afforded is that if at any point in my life I contract HIV or AIDS, it is presumed that it happened at work through an undocumented incident, and I am now covered by the job. We were able to get those same protections in regards to coronavirus.
Yeah.
So there was basically, if anyone gets sick on my job, it's presumed that you got it at work, and it's treated as a line of duty injury, not you choosing to go sick.
Okay.
Which is beneficial for many reasons. You know,
Definitely.
you don't use your own sick time, and it's just, you know, it's just things are held to a different standard. Yeah. So I had multiple exposures over the span of a couple days at work. Like I said, I only work like 12 days a month, but you could see things were changing at work. We created a new call type for these corona cases where they were being labeled as pandemic cases. So we knew what was going on. And this is just an unprecedented situation for any police department, let alone the police department in the county that has the most cases outside of New York City.
Yeah.
So we're kind of all just flying by the seat of our pants trying to figure out, well, how do we tackle this now? Because there's really no point in taking most of these people to the hospital.
Yeah.
And we try to explain, like, if you think you have coronavirus, do not call 911. You won't get tested. They're not going to do anything at the hospital. Don't get me wrong. There's a medical emergency. Like, you can't breathe or you're like, yes, 100% call us. We'll come. We'll deal with it. But we're trying to limit our exposure to the public.
Of course, yeah.
And that doesn't even entirely come from a selfish point. So I had been exposed multiple times, and I wasn't feeling bad at all. I had no symptoms. I, however, wanted to get tested, and I wanted to get tested not because I was concerned about me getting sick, because the reality of the situation is if I get sick, my wife gets sick, my daughter gets sick, we're probably going to be fine. Yeah. Maybe we'll have a shitty week. We will be okay. It's all the people that I'm going to spread it to in the meantime that I was worried about.
Right.
And it really crystallized for me when I had a 911 call for an aided case for a woman who was having difficulty breathing at a nursing home. And I got there, went to the front door, stopped, and I was like, I don't know if it's a good idea for me to go in here because I had been exposed about 2 times that night. And I don't need to go in there and wipe out an entire generation of people in the process. Because those are, you know, it's not a secret that the people we deal with are often those who are immunocompromised, those who have health issues, you know, they're a delicate group. So it was like that moment where I was like, I need to get tested because I just need to know if I'm doing more harm than good. And the journey to getting tested was a fucking shit show. So they had this whole thing at Jones Beach. I'm sure you guys heard about that, right? How they had the tent set up and there was a massive testing facility.
I don't think we have because we're in Suffolk and it's a bit of a different place out here, I think.
Yeah. So one of the main like Coast Guard type testing setups they had was at Jones Beach, right past the Pencil, you know, the Ocean Parkway.
Oh yeah, you've seen that.
So I work from 1900 to 7. So 7 at night, 7 in the morning. So I finished up my shift in full uniform, just got in my car, threw on a jacket, and I was like, I'm just going to drive down to this facility. I heard that they're testing first responders, which makes a lot of sense because I personally am of the belief that, yes, you need to save the test for people who could get seriously hurt or be killed by this virus, but you also really need to test essential workers and you need to test first responders because they are the ones who stand to infect the greatest amount of people and the most vulnerable people. Yeah. So I show up there, full uniform, and I get turned away. I tell them I've been exposed, like I fib a little bit. I tell them that I have symptoms just because I need to, you know, I'm trying to protect other people.
I would say the same thing, yeah.
And I get turned away. So the information I was given was incorrect. I call the hotline. It takes 2 hours to get anyone. And they'll say, okay, you'll hear back from us soon. A couple days go by. Now, this is during my 4 days off So I'm just staying home. So it's not really a pressing issue during those 4 days.
Yeah.
But when it gets to the point where I have to go back to work, I start looking for anything, anywhere. I was very fortunate that I was told by a cop that there was a walk-in clinic in Oceanside that was doing the right thing, and they were testing first responders.
Yeah.
And they would pretty much just like let you go in and get tested.
Okay.
Once again, I had to lie and tell them that I had symptoms.
Yeah.
Which, listen, like, what are you going to do? Like, I needed to know.
I think
It
you
sucked,
were
but that's what it
definitely
came
doing
to,
the
but-
right thing, because as soon as you told the story about the home and stopping outside the door, it's like, oh yeah, of course. You know?
Greater good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like, so, whoa, do you guys know what the test is? Because it sucks.
Yeah, like
It goes, like,
going
back to
all
here,
the way
right?
up your nose.
Oh
or
my
whatever.
God.
Yeah.
I was like, you're going to hit the back of my skull. It was, you know, listen, pain, not a big deal for me.
Gotcha,
That was the
yeah.
most uncomfortable thing I've ever experienced in a long time. It was awful.
Can you describe what it
God.
felt like? Like, if you
It's
could make an
weird.
analogy.
So, okay, so they put a Q-tip like in there,
Yeah.
but it goes way deeper than you thought was ever possible, and it's like really bristly. It's not like a soft Q-tip.
Yeah.
It's like a toilet cleaner is the closest thing, or like a pipe cleaner just going in there and then stay. Like, it's probably 5 to 7 seconds realistically, but it was. Wouldn't recommend it.
No, that's so long.
God. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Fuck, man. And we're just getting started, dude, you know?
Yeah. So I find out within 24 hours that, I have it. And I'm honestly flabbergasted because I don't feel wrong at all.
Yeah.
Nothing feels wrong. I feel great. And I'm like, well, shit. This all just got very complicated now.
Yeah.
And it was at that point, you know, I did my due diligence. I called my job. I called everyone that I needed
Hold
to.
on, one
let
sec.
them know.
Do you have it?
No, I just have a frog in my throat.
Okay. You want some coffee?
No.
Okay.
Carry
Well-
on, Paul.
Sorry, man.
So, all good, all good. So right about at that point in like the whole greater history of this shit
Yeah.
is when things started to seem like they were getting serious
Yes.
for everyone.
Yeah.
On the front lines, we all kind of saw that shit was going south sooner than other people just because we were hearing everything, we were seeing everything. That goes for nurses, like all them. We all kind of knew like shit, like this is going to be really bad really soon.
Yeah.
So it was at that point that I took it upon myself to write a big old Facebook post telling everyone, hey, guess what? Your boy's got the little C, the corona,
Yeah.
of the 19 variety. And no 5G towers in sight, so I'm pretty sure I contracted it the old-fashioned way of getting not or sneezed on or something.
Yeah.
And my whole point of that was not to seek any sympathy from anyone. It was really more to just really drive home the point of I had no symptoms.
Yeah.
I felt fine. We don't know how long I had it. We don't know how many people I exposed. And that's the problem.
Right.
A lot of these people get it. Nothing changes.
Right.
And because it's so mild for so many of us, we're just walking around carrying it, spreading it to everyone. And that's something that's why the social distancing is important. That's why the staying home is important. Because, you know, it's not about your health. You know, it's about everyone around you.
Yeah.
It's so that's how I found out I got sick, and that was on the 23rd of March.
Okay.
And I have not gone back to work since, as you can tell by my mediocre beard. So,
Did
that's
it
just some of it.
did it at any point start to feel like you had it inside, or did you remain asymptomatic the entire time?
No, I did not remain asymptomatic, unfortunately. I did slowly at like the 10-day mark is when I started to develop some symptoms. They took the form of a persistent cough. And once I had the persistent cough, my wife, Megan, was like, we should probably take your temperature.
Yeah.
I was like, but I don't feel hot. And she was like, yeah, but the thing is with this, it's supposed to be a low-grade fever. And sure enough, I had like a 99.9. But that's like pretty much imperceptible to you if you have it.
Yes.
So we have no idea how long that I might have had that fever.
Right.
And then it's little things like my lower back was really starting to hurt. And I just thought I tweaked it because I have one cat, 2 dogs, and a dog that we're fostering for the time being, and they all like to just jump in bed. So I just assume, okay, my cat decided to sleep on my head, I tweaked my back, whatever, but it never went away. And it only got worse. And I realized that achiness is one of the symptoms.
Yeah.
And that's when the worst of it is when the extreme exhaustion kicked in, where I would sleep for 12 hours, wake up, and then still just be like a zombie.
Yeah.
But things have definitely gotten better. I'm not in the clear yet. I still have like a low-grade fever every now and again. Still have the cough sometimes. But overall, I think I'm probably through the worst of it at this point.
Yeah.
Which is good because I'm definitely itching to get back to work. The exciting thing is if I end up being immune, I become like a super cop. I'd be like, I don't care. Sneeze in my face. See what fucking happens. Nothing.
Right.
But of course, just because I don't get sick doesn't mean I don't carry it from scene to scene.
True.
Oh, right.
Once again, makes my job very difficult to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was your initial fear. Now, after this, do you have to get the nose penetration again, or do you get your blood tested for the antibodies?
So I did do a tacit amount of research into donating my blood. Apparently, they're looking for people who had it and got better to donate blood for science reasons.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
I'm still waiting to hear back from people in regards to that. If they have a blood test, that would be great. I prefer to do that. I
You're like,
am not
needles,
up to the point.
I'm all for, but leave me away from the pipe cleaners.
Yeah, I would be the same way. Yeah.
No, that's why my wife and kid were like, should we get tested? And I said, you know what? No, like you guys both have it. There's no way you don't. It's really uncomfortable.
Just
Other
stay
people need the
home,
tests. Like, let's just hunker down together. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what happens next. I talk to my job once I feel 100% better because they don't even want me anywhere near them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So we had like 2-man cars and stuff. They were splitting people up. Like I knew things were getting weird at work when at our precinct there are certain police officers that go into like precinct level units where they do like plainclothes work, or they work at the schools, or like they get a special car where like they just focus on enforcing the VTL, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They kicked all of them back in uniform, back into patrol like that. And that was a county-wide thing. So they're preparing to not have as many bodies.
Yeah.
They also just did this thing. I don't know if I should be talking about it. I'm going to talk about it. It's public knowledge. There's an academy class going on right now. And it's not supposed to finish for X amount of months. They took all of the academy guys who were prior time, so like NYPD or whatever law enforcement experience, and they just put them out on the street. That's like, because they're anticipating that 50 to 60% of the job is going to get it, which is, I think, conservative in their estimates. It's just the reality of it. I mean, we're running out of PPE gear. Yeah. We had this huge thing, this 40-gallon thing of hand sanitizer that was made by it was made up in like Sing Sing or something, like made by inmates. That's pretty much what the state has given us in terms of like, here you go, figure it out.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty much like find it on your own. It's and keep in mind, that's my experience as of late March. I have not been in since then.
So it's gotten worse for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where things stand now. I can't imagine that we're in a better place in terms of equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude.
Sounds wild. It's definitely
I'm supposed to be funny at points. Fuck. Sorry, I'll work on that.
It's very insightful though.
Yeah, it's this is what we wanted to know too, and plus, like, honestly, speaking of being funny, I kind of feel like an ass because we had an episode in February called "Coronavirus or Nah," where we got back from San Diego and we were feeling kind of sick with different symptoms, and we were just kind of joking about it because it was, we didn't take it seriously at all. And honestly, the moment that I realized that it was a thing of concern, because here's the case too. You mentioned about how first responders are seeing the effects first. Unfortunately, I was contacted by a buddy of mine who was a nurse, and he told me to not worry about it at all, and that it was overblown. So he ended up being wrong, you know? And
Yeah.
I only realized how serious it was when the NBA canceled their season. Because
I was going to say, it's when the media companies started getting involved.
Yeah.
That's when you know shit is fucked.
Yeah,
because
because
they're losing how many millions?
that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like
It takes a lot for someone to say okay to that, like shut it down.
it does, because I could see the different news organizations, you know, their traditional media, and that's struggling. They need the clicks, so they have a habit traditionally of stirring up fear to inspire you to click and read the whole article and then click to the next one and the next one every day. But when it comes down to losing hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, I was like, that wouldn't happen if this wasn't serious, right?
Definitely.
No, it would not.
Fuck, dude.
It's kind of weird to be on like as a state, we're so on the front lines. Like, we are now the epicenter of a pandemic. Like, New York is specifically where we are.
Yeah.
It's so weird that it can start somewhere, go all over, but for some reason, I don't know if it's a combination of like we're aggressively testing in New York and just because of where we are and just how everyone comes through here. I don't know. I just find that very interesting how that happened. You know, it's weird for us.
We're also very the city in general doesn't really ever keep personal space, and you know, when I go there, before all this, I wouldn't touch the railing just because, you know, people put their dicks on that every day, piss on it, but
And we've seen that.
yeah, but now it's just like I wonder if it's going to change how people interact together on a daily basis way after this, you know? Like, I was thinking that after this, the whole 6 feet shit should be a law. You know?
There's people like you that think that, and then there's people on the other end of the spectrum that's already posting like memes and shit about how they just want to like make out with all their friends and hug everybody because they really miss human contact.
I haven't made out with you since this whole thing started.
And you're not lacking, like we're not lacking in human contact. People at home with their families, it's different, but people home alone, I'm sure they want a hug, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, actually, has this made you is there anyone who you would love to see right now who you've had to isolate from?
Yeah, I would just say in general, my family, like my brother, my sisters, my parents. You know, I'm pretty lucky in that like one of my sisters lives in the town that I work in as like because I have a steady car now in Merrick. So I get to kind of like stop by and see her every now and again. And now it's just like, no, none of that. Especially when I came back with a positive, you know. And it was a foregone conclusion that I was going to get it. I told my whole family, I was like, listen, just prepare. Like, I'm going to get it at some point. It's fine. I'll be fine.
Just knowing
but let's all just mentally like get used to that idea that that's going to happen at some point, and I'll be stuck at home for a month or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But those are definitely the ones missing. And it's just telling, like, my partners at work too.
Yeah.
You go from spending 12 hours in a car with someone multiple days a week, and then it's just like you're gone. And you're just like, man, I hope shit doesn't fucking pop off while I'm not there, because I'm going to feel real guilty about that, because
that's your friend.
Things do happen in Nassau County, like especially in the first precinct where I work. You know,
Totally.
Things happen.
Now, you said that you told your parents and your whole family before you got it that if you got it, you'd be okay. Now, is that because you're like a fit and sexy guy, or what?
I appreciate your flattery. No, that honestly has a lot more to do with my age bracket and my lack of any kind of immunocompromised status.
Yeah.
I'm in my late 20s. I'll be 29 tomorrow. Fuck, I'm getting old. When did that happen?
Cool.
But yeah, it's just, I think the statistics is it's once you get up into like 60, 70, 80, that's where it really starts to happen. I still get the texts and calls from my mom, this 30-year-old. He died. There's nothing wrong with him. But those are outliers. Those are certainly not. Those are not the rule of what happens.
Right. I mean, I am much like your mom in that those stories scare me.
Me too. I heard about, like, when I heard about the 19-year-old kid in Los Angeles, like, a month ago, about it, I was just like, what?
Yeah.
It's not even possible.
Yeah, so what I want to ask you is, I'm going to describe me and Amy's physical problems to you, okay?
Okay.
And I want you to give us a percentage of survival,
Oh,
okay?
like our symptoms?
Well, no. All right, so...
Or like our overall health?
That, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so me, I'm an overall fat guy, okay? I have asthma, and I live with cats who I'm allergic to. I take medication for those. Amy, she's totally fit. You know, she has
not true.
she has a nice
Very
curvaceous
unhealthy.
butt. But she smokes just cigarettes, you know?
Oh, good. None of that devil's lettuce or jazz cabbage. Not
Never.
walking
I'm
around.
super unhealthy. Pat, like, just because
Say it
I'm not-
how I said it.
just because I'm not overweight doesn't mean I'm not super unhealthy. Like, I smoke so much. My diet is horrendous. And literally, I ate that entire box of raw sugar in like the last 4 days with how much cups of coffee I've been fucking drinking.
That's true. But hold on.
I'm gonna, like, straight up have a heart attack one day.
For real, should we be scared or no?
So with my minuscule amount of medical training that happened back in 2016, I'm gonna say, yeah, you're probably fine.
Okay.
I definitely wouldn't be concerned. There are other populations that do need to be way more concerned. I don't know if you know this, but I work in the special needs population.
Yeah, I know that,
Camp Anchor. I don't know if either of you've heard of it, but it's a town of Hempstead program, and we just had our first like fatality, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And they were just a young kid with Down syndrome, but
Yeah.
they're somebody who like they have cardiac issues
Yes.
Gotcha.
inherent
Yeah.
to having Down syndrome.
Yeah.
It is just it comes with the territory.
Right.
Things like that, like
Dude, that
real
sucks.
medical conditions, not like being a touch fluffy or smoking is like those things. Are they great? Whatever. But I really don't think those are going to make or break
Gotcha.
anything. And
Good.
I think we're starting to hit the point where, like, as the state, we're kind of getting near the other side of this.
Yeah.
You know, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think overall, Mr. Cuomo's doing a pretty good job.
Dude,
I was
props
joking
to
with
him,
my wife.
especially today, too.
I was like, he needs to retire the second this ends. So
Okay.
people are like, yeah, he can't do what Giuliani did, where it's like he retires and everyone was like, yeah, you did a great job. But then he comes back, you know, like that whole Dark Knight, live long enough to see yourself become the villain thing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
He's got to dip and then just go away. And people be like, he did that one thing really good. Also, possibly had pierced nipples. But, you know,
I saw
done.
that. Did you see
I mean-
that?
No, I thought you were just fucking around.
There's a
No, you didn't
viral
see that?
picture going around of
Yeah.
him in a white polo shirt, like
Yeah.
speaking at an event. And he clearly, like, underneath his white
Yeah.
shirt, his nipples are so hard, and there's the
Yo.
outline of what it looks like barbells. And
Fuck
people have
yeah.
actually asked, like, professional piercers and stuff,
Yeah.
like, yo, are those pierced? And there's different, you know.
I like to
theories.
hear that, man. But yeah,
Thank you for bringing that up. See, he is
You're
funny.
welcome.
that's a good point about Giuliani. Yeah, he did kind of against all odds have New York's favor, and then he started to just pose next to Trump like Gargamel, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He went from being, what was the phrase? America's mayor? Is that what they were calling him?
Yeah,
It's like, oh, no.
yeah.
And it's funny because it's like, I so many friends that do not like him at all. And for the most part, they're like, people are looking to him for guidance and comfort throughout this whole thing because
Yeah.
other people are full of shit and lying about fucking everything.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I think that my last question about your experience as far as this goes is, was there any point during the worst of your symptoms that you were like, uh-oh, you know?
Yeah, no, there absolutely was. I'd be lying if I, put on the tough guy act and being like, yeah, but let's be real. Like, I'm sitting at home. I have a wife who is like going to be giving birth in the next 6 to 10 weeks.
That's
I
what I
have
was
my
thinking. That's so
6-year-old kid,
scary.
and shit is starting to really not feel okay with me
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it came on really like quick. Things just started slowly piling up, but then it was like and boom, you're exhausted, everything hurts, and like, why do you feel like this? Yeah, there's absolutely time where like I'm going to start to worry.
Yeah.
I think I'd be nuts if I didn't worry a little bit. Because it's not just me anymore. If I decide to dip and like die, well, fuck me. There's a whole family I'm leaving behind who has to figure shit
I
out
feel
now.
like more responsible, you know.
Yeah, it's not just me in this game anymore. You know, I got other people I got to worry about. So
Yeah. Do you guys worry about like when your wife is gonna go into labor now that like the hospitals are so overtaken with like corona and everyone freaking out about that? Is there like still, I don't even know, is there like a separate area for that, or?
So the big issues, so in let's say a best case scenario, we're all done with this, and I'm actually on some level relieved that we all got it, because we all got to the other side of it, or are about to be on the other side of it, and hopefully if this virus acts the way other viruses do, we'll have some level of immunity, at least to this strain this year. We'll see what happens in the future. But the idea like that we get there and before she gives birth, she's immune, that's good. That's big for me. There's enough research that points out that it can't be like passed like in utero to a fetus, which is good. The problem lies in that the second that little dude pops out, he's just like everyone else, and he's just as susceptible as everyone else.
Right.
So I'm allowed to like, as of right now, be in the room, but then I have to leave.
Yeah.
Got you.
Right.
He
For the
pops out.
safety of him.
She goes to a recovery room. I am not allowed to be in the hospital anymore. And that's like, you know, it's not my wife's first kid, which is good, but like it's definitely
your
still
first choice,
stressful.
yeah.
You still want someone there.
Yeah, of course.
And, you know, been waiting to see this little bastard for like fucking however many months. I'd like to give him a high five when he
It's
comes out.
officially a
Be
boy?
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. So you have a
you'll
girl and a
appreciate-
boy?
Yes, it's great. It's like evenly
That's
balanced.
perfect.
My daughter's the weirdest person ever. You'll appreciate this.
God.
For Halloween this year, she wants to be Dana Barrett. Specifically the Zool-possessed Dana Barrett.
Oh, for
I don't
real?
Oh
know.
my gosh, I love
I'm not kidding. I have it on video because I could not fucking believe that that's what she wanted to do.
Damn, you guys are nerds raising nerds, you know?
She's your kid for sure.
Oh, well, guess what my son's name's going to be?
What?
Xavier Parker Braun.
Oh my god,
Nice.
wow.
I have a
Right?
cousin named Xavier in
Yeah?
Canada. Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
now when I'm mad at him, I can scream Parker and just arbitrarily demand pictures of Spider-Man.
Yeah, you kind of graduate from Peter Parker yourself, you know, to
Now then I get to be
Jonah.
like the slightly out of shape Peter B. Parker who's all cynical and shit. And it's going to be great. It's going to be a good time.
I feel like you would have to eat a lot more than normally to ever be out of shape, dude. You know?
I work nights. I took 10 years off my life just by doing that alone. So give it time. Give it time. I'll get there.
Now, before all this, all your stories just have me wondering this since the beginning. What is and if you can't even talk about this, please just don't get in trouble.
Sure, yeah.
But what is the craziest thing that you've seen on the force?
Ooh, okay. How much of a bummer do you want the story to be?
Yeah, this is turning into my kind of podcast.
Yeah, you know, Amy loves
Okay.
this kind of shit, so go full bummer.
No, I'm like a
Okay,
true crime
I will
fanatic.
tell you about the worst 3 set I've ever had.
Okay.
So the way our schedule works is it's 2 days on, 3 days off, 3 days on, 4 days off, and then so when I say 3 set, I mean the 3 consecutive days that we work.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we sign on. It's me, my partner, Brian, and it's just a normal day. Everything's going fine.
Is Brian a hot guy?
I love the man. I mean, he was at my wedding. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
He's a hot
but he is
cop.
spoken
Got
for.
you.
He's
Yeah.
engaged.
Hot cop.
Okay.
This is a hot cop story, okay.
So we're working, and it's like a relatively normal night. And I was in my own car. I was driving on Sunrise Highway, and I hear one of my sergeants come over the radio and say that he needs units at the Meadowbrook Parkway, and he needs them now. And he said, and I need 2 ambulances.
Yeah.
Now, this particular boss is somebody who's usually pretty cool and collected. So when he comes over the air and he's screaming or like frantic, you know that something's really fucking wrong. So I happen to be on Sunrise Highway right by the Meadowbrook. So I'm like, okay, cool, I'll go. So I gun it, and I get there, and it's a really bad auto accident. And when I say really bad, a car has struck another car, forcing that car off the road, at which point it broadsides a tree and folds completely in half.
Oh my god. Okay.
There is a 12-year-old boy in the front seat who is alive, like miraculously alive. His mother is lying on top of him. She is dead. Yeah. And he's freaking the fuck out, as you would, because I don't frankly know how he survived that accident. When I say the car was folded in half, I mean quite literally like nuts. So
like a toy.
The other car, of course, is fine, because it always is. Yeah. And it's two girls. One of them is hammered. She starts fighting over there. We end up getting her in cuffs. I break the window was already busted, but like I kind of break it through to like grab the kid's hand and be like, yo, like just, he doesn't speak English, so I'm just trying to like not have him look at everything over there that's happening. We call the SU. They show up in like 3 minutes. They got there crazy fast. They cut the car open, get the kid out. They bring him to the hospital. He's definitely got like some broken bones.
Yeah, at least.
Mom, we take out. There's no obvious signs of death. And when there's no obvious signs, i.e. like body parts not attached anymore, we try to like, we try to do something. Mm-hmm. So we start doing everything we can. Can't do anything. She dies. So that was, definitely the worst car accident up until that point I had seen.
Yeah.
I just, especially being a parent, kids involved, just irks me.
Of course.
So
and
that's
that must
night
be
one.
Such an experience to have to like calm a kid down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's just like,
that's like psychology.
That is going to be the worst day of that kid's life.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
And it's like that's Monday for me.
Yeah.
So the next day, we're working and we share a radio band with another precinct, and we hear a call come over for a baby not breathing. Now that call comes out all the time. Newborn parents are usually very frantic.
Scared, yeah.
And I'm not exaggerating when I say 99% of the time it is nothing. They're fine. Maybe the kid had a fever or a seizure or something, but it's almost always like fine. This was the 1% of the time that it wasn't fine. So we hear the 7th precinct getting this all sorted out. They get the kid in the ambulance, and they say that they're going to NUMC. So us in the 1st precinct, because we can hear them, we just immediately start going up to Hempstead Turnpike where we know they're going to go, and we start blocking off all the streets, shutting down traffic so they can just rip through there. So they go through, they get there, and this guy tries to like cut through one of the intersections that I have blocked off. So I get out, I'm like, yo, what are you doing? And he's like, that's my son. I'm like, I'm like, go, why are you talking to me? Like, run the red light. Nobody cares, dude. Yeah. Just go. So I follow behind him because he's in like just his personal car. He's not in a cop car or anything. We get up there. I walk with him. We get to the emergency room, and the kid did not make it.
Aww.
And
so that's day 1 and 2 so far?
That's day 2. Christ. That's day 2. And like literally, I saw this guy go through like the stages of grief so quickly. Like he went right to from like the denial, and then he was at the park, and it was bad. This was this was the night of the Super Bowl, I think. Wow. Right? That was recent?
Yeah.
Sport. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so that was day 2, and off air I'll go into more details about that just because I don't want to be respectful. And the next day, now this is going to sound really bad for me, but something you need to understand is the sense of humor that cops have is very, very, very dark.
I would imagine, yeah.
Oh, I feel you, totally.
Yeah. And it's like that out of necessity. Mm-hmm. We don't say these things to be callous. We don't say them to be mean. We say them because it is a coping mechanism, mm-hmm. and it is one of the only ways that we can control what goes on. So I remember turning to my partner and saying, well, all we need tomorrow is for an old guy to die, and we'll have dead family bingo. Because I didn't know what else to do.
You're like, what the hell else?
That's a horrible thing to say. It's an objectively bad thing to say. But that's just what you have to do sometimes.
No, I totally hear you.
I feel you.
I think that especially in this age, people forget that humor is a way to kind of understand the world when it's kind of too hard to wrap around your head.
It's like a survival and a healing mechanism. Like I was watching a Netflix documentary where this lady, she was performing an exhumation of a body and stuff. And there was a scene where she was working with someone and they had gotten something correct and they're like laughing. And I could see how some people would be like, how could she laugh in a situation like this? But it's like, she's just doing her job and she's trying not to be terrorized the whole time.
Yeah.
You gotta laugh so you don't cry sometimes. Right. It's just what it is, man.
I mean, I actually almost burst out laughing when you asked if that was the Super Bowl day. Because like
that's how you tie
the dichotomy of those two situations, like these guys.
That's what I associate with that day. Because that happened that day.
Yeah.
So yeah, sure enough, the next day we get a call for a well check. I haven't seen my dad in 3 days. He's not answering his phone. He lives alone. And anytime we hear that, we're like, fuck me. Someone's dead in there. Mm-hmm. God knows how long they've been dead. They're probably in bad shape and smell really bad. Great. So this was a little bit fun because I got to break something, which we don't always get to do. Mm-hmm. It's just fun to break things. I got to break a window because I'm actually pretty good at breaking into buildings. I would have been an amazing criminal if this whole cop thing didn't work out.
Yeah.
Because I've broken into so many houses.
I think that's a good skill to have as a cop.
Listen, I just slink right in. It's great.
I mean, it would actually be great if you wore your Spider-Man costume to break in, because no one would expect that.
He really is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Why does he have a gun belt on? He was dead. We broke in and he was dead in the kitchen. But this wasn't as sad because, like, the guy was older.
It's a more natural thing.
Obviously, any death is sad, even somebody in their 70s, like, And it's just rough because now, like, I'm hanging out with, like, what do you talk to? After hour 5 of hanging out with somebody who just lost their dad, it's like, why are sprinkles, like, rainbow flavored versus chocolate? They all taste the same. Like you just run out of things to talk about. You can only console someone for so long, and it's like, this is just a work day for me.
Yeah.
So, 3 dead bodies, 3 days. And I took a little time off after that because I was like, it'll like a lot of heavy shit,
shake your psyche,
really packed together.
Yeah.
I've ended up in the hospital multiple times because of this job. It's just a thing that happens. Like, those things, whatever, they don't really bother me. It's like that shit. That's the shit that I still remember. That, like, oof.
Dude, I think it takes a remarkably strong person to do what you do. For my writing career, I have in my email a folder called Fucked Up, where I file every email where like a publisher or an editor or an artist, I feel, talks to me in a disrespectful manner. And that folder is a collection of the worst things that have happened to me in my career, right? And
none of them come near that, huh?
I mean, you could times that folder times 100,000 and it wouldn't be one of those days. So yeah, man, I respect you for that, dude. Really.
Oh, actually, it's funny. I helped somebody that knew you guys.
Who? Really?
I was in Belmore, right by the bar on the corner by the train station.
Oh, hey, they told me this too.
Yeah, and he was like working on his car in the dark at like 2 a.m, and I was like, "You good, dude?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, I know my tire is flat," so I turned on my lights. I helped him change his tire. We started talking, got into comic books somehow.
Yeah.
And then I brought you up. I don't remember how that even happened.
Yeah.
He just said like, "Oh, like," and he's like, "You know Pat Shan?" I'm like, "Yeah, do you?" He's like, "Yeah, I do, man." God, he's the cook at that bar, and I can't remember the name.
Patrick Kennedy. Yeah.
I think that's
the
him.
one from the conventions.
Yeah.
Aw, how cool.
Yeah,
You're
Patrick.
a famous lover.
Patrick is a guy. What he does is when we're at this convention, he just asked if we want to try food from his bar, and then he just came with like every item.
He like basically catered to us.
Super nice guy. So
nice.
I'm glad you helped him out.
And I have to say too, we have had run-ins, not like because of car problems and other stuff, with the Suffolk County police since I've lived here. And I swear to God, none of them are even as close to as nice as you. Like, you just said that you asked someone if they needed help and then turned the lights on and started talking to them in the car. We couldn't even get a ride home from a police officer down the street after our car spontaneously combusted in Suffolk.
Yeah.
He refused to
like,
even take
exploded?
us home. Yeah.
Yeah, our car caught on fire, and someone was driving alongside of us and told us, and we parked and got out, and the car just burst into flames. And what happened then was we were just waiting there. The tow truck came after the fire was put out, and we asked the cop like what to do if we can get a ride home, because we're just like five minutes of driving from home, but like 2 hours of walking, and it's like 1 a.m. You know.
Yeah.
And the cop said no, so we started walking, and then a different cop pulled us over for walking on the expressway. You know?
I just have
God.
to say, like, I just wish and I hope that most other cops have the same, like, a similar mindset as you do, because you're like super nice, you know?
Yeah, and I do want to say that I think that a lot of people in our generation will take a negative experience that they've either had or seen with a cop and apply it to all cops. I think that
dude.
hopefully anyone who sees this can see not only in these stories, but in the way that you want to get tested for this virus, can see that you're in this because of your empathy.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, I'd say it's the defining quality in all of these stories about how you do your job is your empathy, man.
And not only that, but even the way you introduced yourself, you said like 3 other things before you're like, oh yeah, I'm a cop. That's pretty cool, you know?
Yeah, I have found it's very important to have hobbies outside of being a cop, because it's all the cops who like that's their identity is I am a cop, and that's all they have. They're the ones that they like retire and then they die immediately because they have that's it. That was their whole life. It's like, nah, be into other stuff, like going to the gym. They really like craft beers. Like just have a thing other than your job, you know?
Totally. And that's in every single job's case, I think, you know?
Yes.
It's good to have hobbies.
Now, I'm going to have you talk a bit about your podcast and your show.
Oh,
but
sure.
Before we move on, do you have any more questions about Corona or anything?
I have one question, but I'll probably ask more about it like later on off the podcast, because it's more for selfish reasons, because I was looking into program, because I watch all these really cool shows that I really enjoy, and I think it would be really cool to look into studying to become a juvenile correctional officer, but I don't have any idea how much like you even talk to those people or interact with them.
Corrections is hard because you know, it's like that old adage of like, you know, who's locked in with who, you know?
Right.
I get to go home at the end of the night, you know, and like I'm not trapped with these people.
Yeah.
I kind of on some level choose who I get to interact with. I mean, listen, I the utmost respect for them, because that's a rough gig. It's not one that I personally would like to do.
Yeah. It's like,
you know,
therapy almost. I have to deal with these little twerps. But anyways, I guess it wasn't really a question. But if I do have any specific ones that I might have for you, I'll just ask Pat for your email and I'll email you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You can even text me. I'm easy. It's all
All
good.
right, cool.
Yeah. So, I want you to plug your show and your podcast and give a bit to our audience about what each one is. And you spoke about the review show, and if you're interested in that, we're going to leave a link in the bottom. But yeah,
awesome.
I'm definitely interested in checking more of your stuff out. I haven't heard the podcast yet, so
oh God.
Yeah, talk about the podcast.
A quick anecdote about the podcast. We were once doing an episode where the whole theme was Dave picked a nostalgic movie from his childhood. I picked a nostalgic movie from my childhood.
Yeah.
We had the other person watch it, and then we discussed it. One person through rosy-eyed nostalgia glasses, one person with a fresh take.
Gotcha.
And it was about 10 to 15 minutes into editing this episode that I had to stop and call Dave. And I said, Dave, we are talking about the Jeff Bridges King Kong movie and the Matthew Broderick Godzilla movie. And in the first 10 minutes, we have touched upon brain cancer, 9/11, and female genital mutilation. How? How did we let any of this happen?
Yeah.
I'm keeping it all in, obviously. Because,
Yeah.
but we need to rein it in a little bit, man. No, Dave Strano, who has like the voice of an angel. I love that man. He's my co-host on that. We don't get to do it as much as we want to, but we're trying to up those numbers a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just a conversational thing. Like we pick a movie, we just talk about it for sometimes an hour, sometimes 3 hours, however long it really takes to just really chew into it.
Yeah.
So that's really more like you're going on a long drive. You want to just kind of listen to two guys who are way too passionate about film talk about it.
Can you list like a couple of the movies that you guys have talked about so far?
Yeah. So we do a mixture of older movies and newer movies. So like I think the first episode we did was Starship Troopers. We've also done Highlander. Then we'll do like Avengers Endgame.
Cool.
So we'll do either what we just saw or we'll do something that we used to saw. This actually started out as a live action show that we were shooting at the Bowie Bar in Lido Beach, but the show was way too expensive to produce.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry, Point Lookout. Bowie Bar's Point Lookout. Love that place. Get the Bowie breeze. Ooh. But it was too expensive to produce, so it was reborn years later as an audio podcast.
Yeah,
cool.
Way more manageable.
Definitely, yeah. TV and stuff is so... I can't even like begin to think about how expensive and how many different parts.
Too much money on all that stupid shit back there. Way too much.
That looks. I mean, those watching can just see on Paul's angle. He has a little studio back there, and we so far of the 2 call-ins that we've had, both times I'm jealous of the setup, man. You have a great mic, and that setup back there looks very professional.
Yeah, that's a green screen.
Appreciate it. Also, I have like my my chainsaw hand. I have my props all down here.
Damn.
See,
great,
if it wasn't quarantine, I'd want to come over and like play with that shit.
Yeah.
Make a video.
I mean, listen, if you ever need, I have Ash's chainsaw.
Damn,
that thing's
dude.
sick.
Ready to go at any time.
I want to do a cool goth photo shoot with that.
That's awesome.
Don't be fucking props. Just let me know.
Nice.
I'll let you do whatever you want.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's the podcast, and the show has a very brief, funny story behind it. So, do you recall a certain internet personality who is known as the Nostalgia Critic?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So, I worked for him for a while, actually. Somehow, they had like a talent search, and Lucky Six snuck in there, and we got on the website, and we were producing content for them. I'm actually in his most hated review, which I am so proud of for being in his most hated review, naked also.
Hold on. I want to link this video below. What is it of?
He did a review of Hocus Pocus.
Okay, Hocus Pocus. Gotcha.
And everyone hated it.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I only had it for like 20 seconds, but it's great.
That's awesome.
So when we got on that site, we were the only people not producing a review show. We were just putting like our school short films on there.
I remember that, yeah.
Stuff like that, yeah. And obviously it was way better quality content because we were like a small production company of people, not just somebody doing another damn review show. Right. And everybody wanted us to just do another damn review show. Yeah. And you can see where this is going. This is why I decided to literally do another damn review show.
Yeah.
With the tagline, because fuck you, you'll watch it. It's like my own little cynical jab at that whole audience for being like, fine, this is what you fucking want. I'll fucking do a review show. This is what we want to do. And that website has since been disbanded for various controversies, which I find very funny. Yeah. And we don't work for him anymore. But he was nice enough to be in my episode where I announced that I'm doing the review show. So that was cool.
Yeah, didn't someone on there get caught with a METOO? Or something?
So, not to my knowledge. Really what happened was there was just a history of abusing the other producers on the site.
Oh, that's what it was.
That basically weren't Doug. If you weren't the Nostalgia Critic or like one of like the top 2 producers,
that's what I remember.
Really just acted like you didn't existed.
Yeah.
They just acted like you didn't exist, rather. Yeah, it was a bummer, man, because like you wanted to try to do things like all of us lowly like new guys were like trying to do cool stuff, and it was just like, nope, they didn't really care. And once they made the jump to YouTube, the website just basically fucking died.
Gotcha, yeah.
Like, you were getting no views. There was basically no reason to produce content for them anymore.
It's kind of funny how I'm gonna say people, even though I just did it, but during that whole era where people were getting called out all the time, if you were called out for being a tyrannical boss during the Me Too era, everyone just assumes a year later that you were fucking children. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just enjoy a nice foot long from Subway and some pudding pops and watch a good Weinstein production.
Oh boy, you know.
And they're all in jail.
Yeah, yeah, dude. What else? What else? What else? Yeah, did you have anything else that you wanted to plug or anything? You mentioned Lucky Sticks Productions.
Yeah, so we're still actively doing stuff on the website. I produce the Another Damn Review Show. We throw the podcast up on iTunes, but we also throw up a version on YouTube if people don't feel like going to iTunes and subscribing or whatever. So, and, we'll occasionally do like a kill count, which is a fun little mini series we do. There's like sub-series of Another Damn Review Show. Like I'll do something called Unpopular Opinion. Well, I will give my opinion on something.
Yeah.
Typically not one that's popular, and I'll try to explain why I feel that way.
Yeah.
I've actually been editing one that's basically, I'm super excited about the new Batman movie.
Okay.
And I feel like a lot of people aren't anymore for the reasons of Robert Pattinson's casting to the leaks of the costume and stuff like that. So there's like a good 20-minute video coming out about that and why everyone else's opinion is wrong.
You know what? That video is going to do great because here's the thing. I don't know what it is about Robert Pattinson, but people think he's the character. People think that he's the vampire. You know,
it's like that was a paycheck job he did at the very beginning of his career.
He's super hot and super talented. Everyone needs to catch up.
Yeah, he's been in
So many things.
great indie films since then. And
Good Time Alone.
Yeah, and he was also the iconic Cedric Diggory before that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is.
That's
to me,
true.
he's something else. I don't know what anyone ever thinks that he's like overrated for.
Yeah. No, yeah, and the same applies to Kristen Stewart for me. You know, people they just kind of have made so much fun of Twilight that they can't divorce these two from that franchise when they've had full, well-rounded careers since then. And she is so hot. You know what I mean?
She's the hottest, yeah.
Yeah.
She's actually.
Yeah, no,
hotter than
I definitely think he doesn't get enough credit as an actor.
Yeah,
I mean, The
totally.
Lighthouse, like, just Jesus. Oh my God, I'm pumped. I'm very pumped for the new Batman movie,
Yeah.
and I can go into why people are wrong about the costume. That's a stunt suit and all this other stuff, but you'll be able to watch that soon enough. Hopefully, I knock that out like tonight or tomorrow.
Awesome.
Nice.
And just to end up, my last question is: do you have any advice for people who get into your situation? What would you do differently during your quarantine, during your whole? I mean, I was gonna say infection, but you know, it sounds kind of harsh. During your
During the time I was gestating a pandemic level virus in my system.
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah. Do you have any advice to pass on to your fellow diseases? You know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This whole thing is bigger than you. It is bigger than you getting sick or you dying. You need to think about the 3 people that you could infect who could infect another 3 who could infect another 3. And everyone needs to understand like the way exponentials work because things grow very, very fast and they do twice the amount of growing at the last step. It's always going to be that way. And we can't really get complacent. I know things start to feel like kind of normal again. And it seems like we might be on the other side of this. But that's only because we've taken such extreme measures. So we need to just hang on a little bit longer. And when we get to the other side of this and we're like, oh, look, only 40,000 people in America died. The lesson to take away from that is not, well, I guess it wasn't a big deal. It was, no, we reacted appropriately and took the right measures and did the right thing. And, you know, we're all kind of in this shit show together, so let's make it through to the other side, everyone.
Totally.
Don't panic.
That's great, man. I can't thank you enough for doing this.
This was great. Anytime, man.
Yeah, man. And we'll talk more off air in a second. Yo, I just got so fucking Long Island with it. I said Orf, you know?
Or fair in a second.
Yo, my mom the other day, I'll end with this shit. She's been FaceTiming us, and she found one of those
What's it called?
Brain something?
Brain Quest.
Brain Quest trivia packs. And
Those like rectangles with the little button, and then you just flip them to get the questions.
yeah, she was she said a question like this. I don't remember the word, but it was like a T word for water, for a river.
I don't know. She said, besides blah, blah, blah. I didn't know the word.
Yeah.
I asked her what it meant.
Yeah. In place of the word she actually used, I'll use the word terrace, even though it isn't the word, okay? She said, including a terrace, what is the largest body of water in the United States? And I said, what's a terrace? And she said, a water. So Long Island, dude,
She
you
has
know?
one of the heaviest Long Island accents I've ever heard.
Ever.
I'll never let you say my name then, because boy, does he get butchered by the Long Island
Paul
accent.
Braun.
Paul, right? Paul?
And the
Paul
last
Braun. I got two
Paul
AUs
Braun.
back
Oh,
to
damn,
back.
dude.
Yeah.
Paul Braun. That's true.
Paul Braun. Ugh.
Fuck, man.
Amazing.
All right, dude. Thank you for doing this, man.
Yeah,
Thanks
so
again,
nice
it
to
was a
have
pleasure.
you on here. Space between.